I
That's
have a
fair.
degree in law
Since when?
since I decided just now.
That's not how degrees in law work, Griffin.
I just don't know if it's in Fahrenheit or Celsius yet.
That doesn't matter. What?
You're right, Kelvin.
How did temperature become part of this?
All right, so Sleepy Time Junction.
Wait, hold
Bibble's
on.
in bed.
Hold on. Hold on. What's poppin', y'all? Welcome to Post Finale. I'm your host, Ankit Madhira. I'm an actor and a musician who hasn't seen a lot of films, so to make my friends happy and potentially provide a new perspective on some popular films, I'm on a quest to change that. I'm not on this quest alone, however. Once again, I am joined by my wonderful friend, Griffin Stouffer. Griffin, how are you doing?
It's called the butterfly effect. All right, all right. I listen to your things. All right, I hear everything. First of all, I don't know why you're pretending you don't know what idioms are during the Truman Show. We took the same English classes, but first of all, it's called the butterfly effect, not the banana effect. What the are you talking about?
What in
What
the
the
world are
are
you
you talking about?
what are you talking
Truman Show episode 3. You mentioned the idea that changing one thing has an effect that changes a bunch of the others, and it's called the butterfly effect, but you called it the banana effect, and that's nonsense. That's nothing. And you perfectly know full well that the idiom "the early bird gets the worm" exists, so I don't want to hear it.
No, I know that idiom exists. That was the whole thing, was that I was just like, wasn't it the other way around?
So it's a butterfly effect. It's the butterfly. Anyways,
Okay, sure. Thanks, dude.
I didn't
Um,
say it would. I didn't say it was going to be a good intro bit. You want one of my other one-liners I have written down in
no,
case
no,
that one
we'll
gets cut
get to
out?
them. We'll get to them. That one's
Oh,
gonna
but
stay.
this one won't be applicable to any part of the show at all.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, just in case you want to cut that one out. Uh, California girls are getting progressively more deniable the more I have to interact with the state's tax code. That's a Katy Perry reference.
That is fantastic. So, on that lovely note, I think before we jump into talking again about Barbie Magic of the Rainbow, I think what we need to do first is I have a question for you. Now, I know in the past I've never asked you this question, but if you were to voice act one of these characters, and it can't be Bibble,
It can't be Bibble.
it
Obviously, I was going
can't
to say
be
that if you
Bibble,
didn't. Yeah.
yeah, it can't be Bibble, who would you want to play the most?
That's that's a tough choice because a lot of these characters are nothing. They're nothing characters. Um, I'm gonna the characters that would be like fun to play reside exclusively in Bibble, who is off the table, Fabian, who is in like 3 scenes, and Laverna. So I have to go for Laverna
Fair,
because she's fun. She's a
fair.
fun character. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go with that one. Hard
Nice.
choice, I know, between the 3 characters that are actually interesting and have any characterization. Although I get I'm selling some of the other ones short. I'm
Yeah,
selling some of the other fairies short. What about you?
I'd probably go with Max. I feel like Max is a very fun
That's a fun
character
one,
to
yeah.
voice. Like, he just always is kind of doing something wacky and something different, and
Hmm.
it's a good time. I think I'd want to do Max.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I will just before we get into the actual movie, I will say that for whatever reason, I think the second half of this movie was really weak.
The
It was not as entertaining as the first half to me.
Yeah, the second half felt very dull, and we'll get into that. And I think it mainly comes from it just everything happened right away. I mean, like we've talked about it before, how, there really isn't any what do you call it? Suspense.
Oh yeah, no suspense. Never a modicum of suspense. The most suspense we got was the movie being unclear on whether Laverna had taken over her body, mind controlled Sunburst, or disguised herself as Sunburst. But that was also just like didn't matter, and then was self evident.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. So, yeah, I mean, there's just no suspense, and that's been the case for the previous films as well. But I feel like there's even more no suspense in this one.
But, I mean, to be fair, I was suspensed properly about only one thing, and that is the Tooth Fairy, because I
Yeah.
really wanted the Tooth Fairy to be like Chekhov's gun and come in to help them at the end, but it wasn't that. She
All
gave
right.
them a cupcake.
Nah, so speaking of that, let's get into our predictions from last time. So for anyone that doesn't remember, Griffin and I made some predictions, and for context, I think we are actually recording this episode about 2 weeks apart, roughly, just with the way that our schedules
Approximately,
have lined
yeah.
up. So Griffin and I have also forgotten what our predictions were. So
Easily. Oh, I forgot it the moment it came out of my mouth. I didn't even have that written down. That was off the dome, and none of it was absorbed.
So I have them pulled up here, and I have the transcript from the last episode pulled up to be able to tell us what our predictions were. So I'm gonna kind of dumb it down. I'm not gonna read this word for word, but this was your prediction, Griffin, and it's that
Okay.
Laverna is gonna be controlling some bursters, or is not bursters,
Sunburst.
sunburst. Sorry, I'm just reading the transcript. It's sunburst. So she's either controlling Sunburst or is acting as her. And you think that Illina is going to tell the Guardians, suspect that everything's going to be okay. We'll keep an eye out, but you have to complete your classes. And then Laverna is going to sabotage during the classes. There's probably going to be a training montage. And if there's a song that plays, it has lyrics during this. That was a very specific one that you had in there.
That was bonus points. I think I said bonus points if there's a song that plays and it has lyrics, because mostly because I really wanted that.
Sure, you never said the words bonus
Did
points.
I not?
No.
Oh, I feel like
So
I've been using the words bonus points a lot recently too.
so no
Ah,
bonus
whatever.
points for you.
Ah,
But
damn.
so
Drat.
oh no. That's the general guess. And that's pretty much what you were thinking, but you think Laverna's gonna sabotage, and then at some point it's gonna be revealed that Sunburst is Laverna, and Alina's gonna somehow stumble upon this realization. She's gonna get like a tied up and held up by Max, or just like in the woods or something. Laverna's going to reveal something about herself, and Alina finally puts the two together, and then, you know, after that, there's conflict that's going to happen. It's going to get really, really close. And when they need to do the right dance of spring, flight of spring, because of course everything happens at the last minute, and everything is going to be all beautiful and dandy by the end of it. That's pretty much what your guess was. You did also have right before she fights Laverna, and it helps overpower Laverna, or she's gonna get the wings as a reward at the end. So that's how you thought she was gonna get the new wings.
Yeah, didn't I say something about like Power Rangers, power of friendship or something?
Oh, you have a quote here that literally says, "Point is, teamwork makes the dream work." So that's
Some
your
of what I said was
guess.
correct.
Yeah, some of it was. For context, listeners, at this point with the Barbie films, we only do them in two parts. So Griffin and I have watched the film at this point. So that was your guess. My guess is similar, very much. I also thought Sunburst situation was going to go down the same, but it's just going to be the time. Like, I got it confused because I had missed a scene because of timestamps, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I think that she's gonna go tell the Guardians. They're gonna keep an eye out and just be like, "All right, well, we'll keep an eye out. You have to keep doing your training, blah blah blah." The same as what we were just saying, and pretty much the difference that comes up for me is I was like, "All right, there's also a training montage." And for some reason, the Guardians aren't going to be able to do the Flight of Spring, and so then the apprentices are going to have to be the ones to actually do the flight of spring. I don't know what that reason is, but there's going to be a very specific reason of why the guardians suddenly can't do it. And what's going to happen is that Laverna / Sunburst is going to sabotage it, and it's all going to happen last second, probably while they're doing the flaunts and doing the little dance around and
I
everything.
forgot it was called Flans.
Yeah, I did too.
I forgot it was
But
called.
while they're doing the flans, and that's when everything's gonna go haywire. Everyone's gonna come together in the last minute, understand what's going on. Everyone's gonna give their powers to Illina, and she is going to get some fun new thing out of it. Probably the new wings that we were talking about, and the new look. And then she's gonna have the power to beat Laverna, and that's why she's going to have the magic and the new wings and everything. But everything will be fine. The festival will go on, like, it'll happen with the chaos. They'll defeat Laverna, but then the festival will go on. Everything will be fine. The first flight will happen, and it's all good. And Bibble still probably doesn't deserve the credit. And no, he deserves the credit. He's not going to get the credit
Yeah.
that he deserves. It's pretty much what I think is going to happen. Some of what I said is also true. So
I feel like I also mentioned a magical girl transformation sequence in mine. We can argue the specifics of if that actually happened or not. But
it's
I feel like I
possible that
mentioned
you
that.
did. Like I said, I was kind of skimming them because,
Yeah.
they were longer guesses. Listeners, if any of you want to hear the guesses in full and come back to this, I believe on the last episode, if you go listen to like the last 10 minutes of the last episode, you'll hear both of our guesses in full. If you want to hit pause on this, go listen to that to get a refresher and then come back. But for you all, it's only been a week since our guesses have come out, and for us, it's been a few, so we had to just catch up.
I wouldn't remember after 1 week either. I was going to ask you to do that part anyways.
It
It could have been the next day. I would have still been like, oh, hey, can we listen back to the recording and see what we said? Because I don't remember. I don't
You
know.
know what? Fair enough. But shall we go into the film? Is there anything else before we get into the film and what's going on?
Oh, I did have a note from last time that I realized afterwards that Frog Laverna was wearing that hood up, which was actually the smartest thing in that movie because she still had her hair on, which which would be incredibly telling because she just has the haircut.
Yeah.
Nobody else has green hair.
No. Well, maybe the Green
Well,
Fairy Guardian?
yeah, I'm not gonna say that. I'm probably just forgetting
I don't
somebody.
know.
No, I don't. I don't. I think they keep their colors fairly disparate. So aside from like the rainbow and when that's involved, they usually keep green out of it.
But green
I
is
don't.
literally part of the rainbow.
I know. That's why I
And
said aside from like rainbows, I don't think there's
no, but
anybody.
all the
There's
all
a
the
couple characters that wear green, but there's nobody with green hair aside from Laverna.
that's very possible. Hair was not the highest on my things to look at
I
list.
know. I'm really trying to think, but I literally do not think there's anybody with green hair aside from Laverna. Therefore, she was smart to wear the hood.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So, where we're at. We're up at the castle, and Illina is explaining to Azora that she has used the spell to turn Laverna loose in Fairytopia. And then the Orange Guardian comes in laughing at the fact that they were fooled by Laverna, and he doesn't believe that it really is Laverna, and he can prove that it wasn't. And I was like, oh, this should be good. And then it was just like they fly up and they see this thing called the Guardian Glass, and it can be used to look at every exile of Fairytopia. How many people have they exiled?
That's that's a good question. Cause like we know Laverna,
And Laverna?
but she says all the people. She says all the people who. What? Oh my god! The bogs of the hinterlands are just Australia for Fairytopia.
Um, there we go.
It's a penal colony.
Yeah. Whew.
But this scene actually annoys me because they say, "Show me the bogs of the hinterlands," and then there's Max disguised as the frog Laverna, which makes sense. But it's like, why didn't they just ask it to show them Laverna? Why only the bogs of the hinterlands? Can it only track people in exile? If
No,
so,
because
Max technically isn't in exile.
it can show the exiled places. So it
How did
doesn't
it immediately
show.
target Laverna then? Or I suppose Max disguised as Laverna. It's very unclear, and it's not the strict magic system that I want it to be, and that annoys me. I
Yeah.
want scientific principles. I want everything very explained. Also, she literally saved them multiple times. Well, twice. One was technically Mermadia, and they're immediately like, "You're so dumb. That's not
Right.
Laverna.
Oh,
How would you
beautiful.
know?"
My favorite part was this, is that I was just like, so in the glass, we see Laverna being fanned by fungus. And I was just like, it's Max as a toad, isn't it? Poor Max.
It's always Max. My chair's so loud.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
fantastic.
I'm going to sit straight up so that you don't have to cut out chair noises for the rest of the episode.
I'm sure
Sorry,
Pranav thanks
Pranav.
you.
Didn't realize how loud that was until right now. All right. Cool.
That is fantastic.
Also, there's a line that Illina says where she's just like, "This was she," which is just like such weird wording.
Oh yeah.
Especially for the rest of the movie, because that's not the way that anybody talks at all during
No.
any of this.
No.
And I don't know why that one just caught my brain and was like, "What?" I had to skip back and be like, "Say that again."
Fair.
It's like, "This was she." It's like,
what?
I mean, you're not wrong, but why'd you say it like that?
Yeah. I don't know. So Azura says that it seems that Laverna is in the bugs, and Illina is adamant that no, I freed Laverna. And Azura believes that despite what they see in the glass, they must take the threat seriously, because Azura has a brain. And she will see that the entire area is under heightened security. And just in case, and I was like, it's already too late, you're already infiltrated, as we know that it's Sunburst. But obviously, they don't know that. And then I was like, are they going to do the transition of the glass into the scene of the hinterlands? Hey,
Oh,
check
of
it out.
course.
They did the transition of the looking glass.
How
and then
could
the
you not?
scene
That's such a
through
like
there.
fun scene transition.
It
can't blame
very
them for that
rarely
one.
disappoints me when that scene transition happens.
It's every time in every movie ever, and
Yeah.
it's fun.
It's a fun, cute little simple transition.
The only one I like better than that is, I guess that's not technically a scene transition, but in a similar vein is when somebody's like in the bathroom and they have the medicine cabinet open, and then they close it and the mirror on it like moves and shows something behind them.
Oh,
I like that one too.
that's
as well.
not a transition.
It's not a transition, but it seems like a similar vein of like something being looked at and it like being there suddenly, just like the zoom, whatever. I don't know why. Connection in my brain. Who knows?
Fair enough, dude. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just sit here and listen. So I was like, oh look, it's Max as a toad. Oh my god, who could have predicted that? Oh wait, me 10 seconds ago. So Fungus starts to complain about the length of their work and they want a break. And Max says, stop complaining. You have nothing to complain about. You didn't have to trade your body for that of a toad. And I was just like, you know what? Fair.
He's so toad pilled, dude. He's frog maxing. He's tadpool core, lily pad coated. He's fucking out here.
So we're back at the sleeping ball pods, and Illina is scared.
I don't know if I like you calling it the sleeping ball pods. They're flowers. They're like bulbs or flowers. Like you don't need to say sleeping ball pods. You could just say the hanging flowers or something.
But they weren't flowers.
They are.
No, they're not.
They're not open, but they're still flowers.
Wait, they're flowers?
They're flower buds. Yeah.
Oh,
You thought they were just hanging balls from the tree?
I just thought that it was something that was created for them
Everything
by
is
the
petals. They
guardian.
all sleep in flowers. It's consistent, all right? This is the one point of consistency in these movies. It's extremely consistent that they sleep in flowers. I think these ones sing too.
No, Peony sings.
Peony sings. I think these ones sing as well.
Okay, so we're
I
at the sleeping
vaguely
ball
remember that from the
pods,
first part. I don't know.
and
It took me 2 weeks to watch the second half.
great. So we're at the sleeping ball pods, and Illina is scared to go in and face everybody, and Bibble and Dizzle are thrilled to see Illina, and Dizzle is being a bit demonic, kind of. Like, I hit pause to take a note, and like Dizzle's face just looked really creepy, and I didn't like it.
I mean, the puffballs are weird.
The puffballs are
The
weird.
puffballs are weird. They don't. They look vaguely human, but so it's not as bad as like the turtle in Mermaidia. But
Oh, that was horrendous.
it doesn't hit the uncanny valley as much, but like kinda a little bit.
I would argue a lot.
Anyways,
So, anyways,
Bibble lost its tooth.
yeah, that's what's happened. And Illina is a bit relieved because she thought that they were running up to her about the whole Laverna thing. And she reminds Bibble that you have the pouch that Azura gave him. And he does. And now all he has to do is wait for the tooth fairy. And he has the pouch and he flies off to put the bag under his pillow. Fair enough. He's excited. He wants to get rid of his tooth and get
We'll
a
talk
prize.
about that again when we see it next.
Yes, it takes
Because
a
I
while.
have thoughts.
I do too.
It doesn't take a while. It's the next scene. I
To
have
when we
earlier
see it.
thoughts
Oh, okay.
when I
fair.
see it again.
Fair,
No, we
fair.
see it sooner. We see it very, very soon, and I'm mad.
So the others come in and they're asking why Illina is still here and that she should resign as an apprentice after what she did. They call it treason. Sunburst sticks behind, and instead of saying something mean, she hugs Illina and says, "I'm sorry. I'm sure you didn't mean for any of this to happen." If that doesn't tell you that she's possessed by Laverna, I don't know what will. Alina's very confused as well, ladies and gentlemen. So
I will say, Laverna acting nice to her to just mess with her is just a great way to reveal your plan really, really early on. And also, the Guardians didn't believe her that she had released Laverna or helped Laverna, but then they immediately go and tell everybody on the ground, and they're calling it fucking treason. Those two things don't match up.
No. I'm here for it though.
Yeah, whatever. It's funny.
Whatever. So
Anyways, she's a terrible actor.
who?
Laverna.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, as Sunburst. Absolutely horrendous.
Not good. So Azura says that due to recent events, apprentices will rotate through evening patrols. Illina and Sunburst are on first watch, and the others are unhappy about all of the extra work that now has to happen for them. And I just wrote, "Shut up, you won't have to do anything. Everything's probably going to go down on night one with these two."
Yeah, no suspense, right? And they're put together just so it can be revealed as soon as possible as well.
Yeah.
It's and it kind of is not in the way I was expecting. I expected them to go out and then they'd have like a confrontation and then she'd be like, "Nobody will believe you." That's later. That does happen later. But I totally thought it'd be revealed there. There's something else that happens that we'll get to.
We'll get to.
And it's not that, which is so I was wrong there. I'll give you that one, Ankit.
Woo! It's very rare that I get something right. I think these are one of the only few movies that we've done where I've actually gotten things right.
I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because you normally watch like critically acclaimed movies that have like good writing. Not that this is bad. It's just for children.
I mean, like, hey, I don't think even you know yet. And for listeners listening, the reason Griffin usually knows what's happening beforehand is solely that I've known Griffin for like half of my life at this point.
Oh, God, it has been long. Yeah,
So we just text in general. But if anyone's listening and is curious, we are going back to critically acclaimed things next week, and I'll explain more of that
unfortunate.
towards the end. It's okay, you'll be back. We'll do some more Barbie in
I
a
know.
bit.
We got two more.
We got two more, but we
I'm sure
gotta
I'll pull you
finish
into
this
some
one.
other. I'm sure I'll pull you into some other garbage movies that I have a hyperfixation on at some point. We could do Windy Woo Homecoming Warrior. I like that one.
I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, but it's not good. But it's kind of good. But it's
That's
not
the
good.
that's the one with
That's,
Brenda Song as
yeah.
Wendy Wu, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have seen that one.
The Disney Channel original movie. I know, but that could be a fun like one episode thing.
We'll see. We'll see what we do.
I don't
We'll
know.
see.
I had that in my notes. That's just another note I get to delete off my phone. All right.
Fair enough.
I gotta get through
Fair
my
enough.
list.
So, where were we? What is happening? Yes. So Sunburst says that it won't be that bad, and Sunburst loves how it flies off of her fingers, and she's talking about the light, the magic
Sparkles.
light. Yeah, the sparkles, and she's like,
Little
I
spark.
always wanted to be a sparkle fairy. And in the mirror, we see that it is Laverna. Again, great. Love this trope where it's like, oh, like it, in the reflection, you see something different. Fair. Love it. She calls Fungus, and Max picks up, and Max is very excited to hear from her. And then he gets more excited when he sees Sunburst, and he's like, "Oh, who are you, lovely lady?"
Max is an incorrigible horn dog. All right, he does not. He just does not quit. He does not
No,
stop.
you gotta respect the hustle.
And it's also still unclear if Laverna just like took Sunburst's body over or knocked her out and disguised herself.
Yeah, it is
It's clear
still
that it's
very
not
unclear.
brainwashing, but it's still like I don't know which one this is, and I don't know which one is worse.
Listeners, let us know, which one do you think is worse? Just knocking somebody out and then taking their likeness, or possessing them?
Good audience integration, Ankit. That'll really bring the comments in. I'm proud of
Yeah,
you. You're learning.
thanks, man. I'm trying. Um, yeah, because I don't know which is worse. They both sound really bad.
I think possessing the body is worse.
I feel like possessing the body is worse, but then also in a weird way, you're not knocking somebody out and trapping
Now,
them.
I mean, one is just like assault and defamation, I guess, but the other one is a violation of bodily autonomy, and I'm not a fan of that.
Okay, fair. Well,
I
that's
have a
fair.
degree in law
Since when?
since I decided just now.
That's not how degrees in law work, Griffin.
I just don't know if it's in Fahrenheit or Celsius yet.
That doesn't matter. What?
You're right, Kelvin.
How did temperature become part of this?
All right, so Sleepy Time Junction.
Wait, hold
Bibble's
on.
in bed.
Hold on. How did you get to Kelvin and Fahrenheit and Celsius? What are you talking about?
I think you're too tired for my brain state.
I'm so confused. Ladies and gentlemen, for context, I've been back in London for just about a week. I just recently kicked the jet lag, and I've also been working nonstop. So it is late on a Saturday night as we record this, and I am exhausted. But I do it for you. But I am not that tired to where I shouldn't be able to understand your
Oh, I mean,
pathways.
it's so incredibly simple though, Ankit. It's statements about bodily autonomy. So obviously, you think of things such as like Roe v. Wade, since that's a very common argument, which is a matter of law. So therefore, a degree in law, and since it's a degree in law, degrees of temperature, that's a common measurement, units. So Fahrenheit or Celsius, and of course Kelvin is just like the same as Celsius, but minus 273 degrees, because it includes absolute zero as the 0 point. Do you prefer the Riemann scale?
No. Just as you started explaining that, listeners who weren't watching the video, for context, I started hitting my head with my hand because I realized that Griffin just knows me so well that he planned this entire thing out, and I fell for it. I hate you. We're
I
moving
have
on.
ADHD. What can I say?
So, Laverna tells him to drop it, and she has a new assignment for him. A Firebird will drop him off at the palace in the morning. With Max's help, the Guardians won't be a problem, and the flight of spring will mark the day that she gets revenge on her sister once and for all, and then cue the evil laugh. So,
Always the evil laugh. Love it.
always the evil laugh. Now we can have sleepy time
Okay.
with Bibble and
Yay.
Dizzle.
Now's the part where I'm mad.
All right, why are you mad? Wait. Before you explain, let me explain the scene to the listeners. Pretty
Please
much,
do.
this is all that is there for Bibble and Dizzle in terms of like I'm also mad at this, but for possibly a different reasoning. But so Bibble and Dizzle are both sleeping on their flower. Well, Bibble's flower, and they're sharing it. And then the pouch is between them. It's not under anyone's heads. It's just in between them.
It's not under a pillow like it's supposed to be. This is why I'm mad. It's the same reason. It's supposed to be under a pillow. They keep saying that he has to put it under a pillow, and the pouch is so soft he won't even feel it. That's something that was literally said when he was given the pouch. And yet it's not under a pillow. It's just there, between them, betwixt the two.
Yeah, but it's the power of love is just as soft as a pillow.
At least they left room for Jesus.
Just like any good school dance.
8-inch? I don't know. What's the? It depends on the school.
It depends on the school. It depends on a lot of things.
I think the Footloose remake, they say 8 inches for Jesus, and then one of the other characters makes a dick joke and is like, I need more than that.
That's such a bad joke. Okay. So that's why you're mad.
Anyways,
all right.
Footloose remake, bad movie.
Think I've seen it.
The remake?
I know I've seen the original. I think I've seen the remake as well.
Yeah, it came out when we were like in high school or middle school.
I think it came out when we were in high school. But I think the reason that I had seen it was that I was comparing something like back and forth. Oh. I know why I saw it. It's because when we did our senior year musical, which was Footloose.
Oh, right, yeah. The one I wasn't allowed to be in because they didn't have a trombone part.
Yeah, that was their main reasoning for picking that show, dude.
I know.
Okay.
They were too intimidated by my abilities during Mary Poppins.
No, they were just sick and tired of you after your inabilities during Mary Poppins.
Yeah, that's what they tell themselves so they can sleep at night.
Okay, so Illina comes in and she's looking for them. And this is what enrages me about this, is that she's looking for them like she can't see them despite them being right in front of the door.
Literally the most obvious thing. Like, there's nowhere to hide.
And she's like, Bibble, Dizzle, and she's looking everywhere but like straight at them.
It's really a Dora the Explorer moment.
It's no. I have to give credit to where credit's due. Dora at least always had her back turned to whatever she was looking for. It was always behind her. She was always looking at us for the answers, but she was never actively looking at what she was looking for when she would ask us the question.
Anyways, I'm surprised this movie didn't have a stop turn to the camera and be like, can you find Bibble? And then a big cursor comes in. And
I'm not going to lie. Okay, so you know how there are the live-action Dora movies now? I think there's one, maybe two. Yeah, there's like one or two live-action Dora movies. Okay, so there's like one or two. I know there's at least one. There might be two. And I haven't seen them. But I'm going to be really disappointed if there isn't a scene like you just described where they look straight into the camera and ask the audience something.
Oh God, Boots is a CG monstrosity.
Boots is interesting.
Anyways, there's a letter,
There's a letter on a table,
a threat.
and it reads, "The time has come to face me one on one. Meet me in the rustic forest, the same place you set me loose. I will be waiting. Laverna." And I
Which
was
was
like,
such a lie. Instantly.
oh, oh yeah. But I was like, oh, looks like it'll be uh sunburst, and Illina won't attack because it'll be sunburst, and then she'll feel bad because she'll be hurting sunburst, so nothing's gonna happen. I was wrong, but like, you know what?
Oh yeah, I assumed that. I assume. Well, I guess this later once the scene actually like started because it cuts away to Azura in a
Yeah,
sec.
yeah.
But
So
as soon as I do that, I'm like, oh, is Laverna drawing her out here so that she can accuse Illina of ditching the patrol or something? Vaguely right.
vaguely right. So Bibble asks if he can come. Illina says no, it's too dangerous. She started everything by letting her out, and she has to be the one to finish it. So Illina heads out. And Bibble
As though
has,
she can defeat Laverna without Bibble. And here's the part where you call him a powerhouse.
yeah, yeah. First of all, Bibble has been on much more dangerous adventures. Give Bibble the respect that Bibble deserves. Two, Bibble also has an idea, because Bibble ain't no slum. So Bibble has the idea and heads out, Dizzle in tow. And we see Azura, she's collecting some books, and then Max appears behind her. And it's like, ooh, creepy music and suspenseful music. So in the rustic forest, Illina reminds herself that she has to be strong because she has to remind herself of that. She calls out to Laverna to show herself. She hears something and hears some sounds, and it turns out that it's Lyndon along with Bibble and Dizzle. Now, I was like, good job, Bibble. You weren't gonna let her come out here all alone. Turns out that wasn't the case. The main reason, well, it may have been the case, but the reason that they're here is that Lyndon says that something's happened to Azura and takes Illina back. Azura is unconscious and she is poisoned by toad venom. And
Toad venom, where could they have possibly gotten that?
oh no, it's not like Max was here. Oh no.
It's not like we
And
saw that in the previous scene.
no, not at all. What are you talking about? So, Sunburst is there using a leaf or a nut or something as an ice pack on her head. And I was like, what happened to her? She was fine. She's just faking it. That's just fakeness. And then it turns out that all the Guardians have been poisoned. Lyndon says that they will be okay. It can only wear off with time. Ladies and gentlemen, just as a general rule of thumb, that's not how poison
Please go
works.
to the doctor.
Go seek medical help.
Actually, how most poison works is it's a decoagulant of the blood and therefore prevents your blood from clotting over injuries that you receive. At least a lot of like animal venom and such.
Sure.
Snake venom.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't apply to frogs. Some of it. I shouldn't say most. What do I know? I only have a degree in law, not a doctorate
You don't
in
have a degree
medicine.
in law.
So, anyways, all of the Guardians are out of commission again.
Hey, who could have seen that coming?
Once again, not useful, not helpful.
I'm
Oh no! I guess somebody else is going to have to perform the Dance of Spring or whatever they call it. They
I
call it.
wonder who it could be. Anyway, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are the Guardians actually good at guarding anything?
No.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say no as a broad. They just seem to be like the literary device that gets boinked at the beginning so that the hero has to step in. It's the
Yeah.
call to action.
Yeah. Every single
All
time.
the Guardians do in all of these movies is be like, okay, don't worry about it, we'll handle it, and then not be able to do anything and distinctly not handle it.
I don't think they've done a single useful thing in the 3 films.
Azura gave her necklace so that Laverna couldn't get it in the first movie, and that was Oh, and she called Hugh to them, who hasn't appeared
Oh,
since the first movie.
okay.
Scary Butterfly.
So
And
let's rephrase this. Azura's the only semi-competent guardian, but even she gets knocked down.
yes, every single time.
Yeah. So,
At this point, maybe Fairytopia deserves 10 years of winter.
you know what? It really seems
That's
that
right.
way.
I'm doing war crime apologetics now.
Okay, so they blame Illina and say that she wasn't on patrol like she was meant to be, and if she was, then someone could have gone for help. And they say that it's her fault, and they're lucky that the Enchantress wasn't here because they would have lost her too. And
My guess
Sunburst
was
is like,
immediately correct,
I know, right?
by
Oh
the
my
way.
God, who could have seen this
So
coming?
who could have figured that one out?
Yeah. So Sunburst says it's not all Illina. She should have fought harder. Laverna is just so powerful. Really, really, really powerful. Like the most powerful fairy ever.
It's really subtle.
Yeah, Sunburst also then realizes that everyone's looking at her and just goes, "Oh my head. I don't know what I'm saying." And it's fantastic. It's great. There's just like no care in the world, and it's lovely. So Illina says that Shimmer is right. It's all her fault. And that she should have been there. Lumina says that no one will do the Flight of Spring. Fairytopia is doomed. And I was like, why not you? You're gonna do the Flight of Spring.
I kind of knew that was going to happen at the beginning of the movie, though. That one was self-evident. Somehow they were going to end up doing the Flight of Spring. I
Yeah.
mean, what is this movie about if not that?
It's about Bibble and his tooth.
You're right. That is the main plot point of this movie.
And
Nothing else happens that's
uh,
important.
and the fact that he never puts it under a pillow.
Never. And yet somehow it still gets taken by the Tooth Fairy.
It's annoying. It's not how the
In
Tooth
fact,
Fairy
they
is
weren't
supposed.
even asleep when the Tooth Fairy took the tooth, and that's more annoying to me.
We'll get
Like,
to that.
it just shows up.
So later that night, Sunburst is dancing and laughing, and Max is happy, but it took a lot of toad spit, and his mouth is very dry. So Sunburst is saying that with the Guardians out of commission, it's only a matter of time, and then they are gratuitously interrupted by Fabian. And I paused it at a beautiful moment where Sunburst's face looked kind of like this. For listeners, I don't know how to describe that other than just very big eyes, very small mouth.
Just sucked on a lemon,
There we go.
kind of.
Yeah, kind of that. So, and apparently, what's going on is that the Enchantress wants to meet with all the apprentices, and it's about the Flight of Spring. And I was like,
so
oh,
she
wait.
tell them to do her job again.
Yeah, there might be one semi-smart person in this world. Sunburst says that she will be right there. Max is happy, asks about him being a toad, and Sunburst says, in good time, right now I have a meeting with the Enchantress. And Max tries a rebuttal, but is hung up on. He then eats a fly. It's strangely satisfying.
There's also a line in there somewhere that I didn't note down, but I just took the note good A-Team reference. So I can only assume that somebody said I love it when a plan comes together.
Good A-Team reference.
One of the characters in the A-Team, Bradley Cooper in the remake movie. I don't know if the line is originally used in the TV series. I assume so.
You're
The
talking.
A-Team.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the guy, he says,
I
I love it when a
haven't
plan
seen
comes
it,
together.
so I have no idea what
I
you're
don't know why
talking
you
about.
would. It's not very good.
Okay. When you said the A-Team, I thought you were referencing the Ed Sheeran song.
Oh, no. I have to hear that in the toilet at work.
Oh, specifically in the toilet?
Yeah, that's the only place I hear that song.
You don't.
Okay, it's story time. Hey, hi. I didn't plan this one. I didn't plan out on my thing, by the way. This is my one bit that I don't have written down. So, in the toilet at work, there's like a Spotify playlist that plays, and there's like just a ton of songs on it, and they're all just like generic Garbo songs. There's a number of Ed Sheeran songs, And I got really, really, really bored one week and was like, what if I just use Shazam to see what every single one of these songs are and put them on a Spotify playlist? I have a playlist that's like 360 songs long
Okay.
that are just songs. It's the pee pee poo poo playlist, and it's all the songs that play in the bathroom at work. I don't know why I do it either. But one of
Oh,
those songs is The A-Team by Ed Sheeran.
hey, ladies and gentlemen,
I don't know why he's famous.
if anyone is curious on how to get their hands on this pee pee poo poo playlist, Griffin, if anyone reaches out, would you be willing to share the
Yes.
playlist?
Yes, I will be. I'll share. Actually, I think I have it called the toilet playlist right now, but I need to rename it to pee pee poo poo playlist because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
all
yeah.
I've been calling it.
Yeah.
But yes, I will. I will share it, and
All right.
only on request. I will share
Yes,
it only
yes.
on request, and I
Listeners,
will just give you a link to it, and then you can watch it be updated in real time as I go on bathroom breaks at work.
yes.
If there's a new song playing,
If you would like to gain access to the pee pee poo poo playlist, be sure to send us a message either on social media or leave a comment down below. Give us some way, shape, or form of getting in touch with you so that we can tell you how to get access to the pee pee poo poo playlist. Now, on that lovely note,
the stupid
let's
promise I've made.
yeah, we've done worse. So
Yeah.
the enchantress shows up and she
Wow.
says that she needs them to all be brave and strong and they must step in and perform the flight of spring. Oh no, who could have seen that? Oh wait, us. So Glimmer, Fabian, and Lumina are all, like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. How can we do this? It's all gonna go bad. Lumina's like, I see terrible things happening. And the enchantress is just like, well, I see bad things happening if you don't do it.
Like 10 years of winter.
I don't know. Based on what you just said, you think that, they might just deserve it at this point?
Yeah, maybe. I was actually surprised that the Enchantress really did show up for this one.
I was
Uh,
surprised as well.
I thought for sure it was just gonna be like a video call.
I definitely
I titled this one "Business," the scene business meeting.
I
I thought it
definitely
was
do feel like the Enchantress was due showing up. And also it's her home, so it makes a bit more sense of her showing up.
yeah, I suppose that's true. But you know what? I still kind of surprised. She likes to just show up at the end and be like, "Good job,
Yeah.
bye."
So she explains that in 2 days the blush will be ready for the flight of spring and that she will train them personally. And if Fairytopia falls, it's not for a lack of trying. Well, that's good to know. They're gonna try their hardest, boys and girls. They're gonna
And
try
that's
their
all we can
hardest.
ask of
That's
them.
all we can ask. Not, hey, the fate of the world rests on your shoulders. Don't mess this up. No, no, no.
Don't.
Just try your hardest. So Alina says
I
that she's
was
in.
really confused about something actually,
Oh,
and that's that the Enchantress was like the blush is almost ready, and I maybe it's just because I watched this like a couple weeks apart probably, but I could have sworn they were supposed to like summon the blush out of water, and it wasn't a thing that was being prepared, but now it's like supposed to be an actual physical flower.
I thought it was always a physical flower.
That was something I must have totally missed. Maybe I was taking a note while they explained it, but I had no idea. I just like thought it was a thing that they were creating out of magic that then would open. I thought this was a whole in-depth process, not just like a physical flower.
That's fair.
But you know what? That's fine because none of their training actually looks like what they end up doing anyways.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. So they're
It's
all in
almost
it.
entirely different.
And so Alina says that she's in. And then, Sunburst is like, me too. Glimmer's like, okay, fine. And then I was like, oh, look, they're all in it together. And then the Enchantress goes, then we're all in this together. Together we are strong. And I immediately started going, we're all
High
in
School Musical,
this
yeah.
together. Lovely time. And I
Okay,
was just
did you
like,
ever learn the dance though?
yeah, I knew it at one point. I don't know it anymore.
I know you did because we all did it in band.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to say it.
What, that we did it? Yeah, okay.
I just
Yeah.
wanted you to admit that you knew it, because
Yeah.
so did the
I
rest of us.
don't I don't remember it like
Something about
anymore.
like stomp, two
Yeah, yeah,
pumps,
yeah,
and
there's
then
like
like a
and then like there's like
clap,
there's like a shimmy and a clap at one
and
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could piece
It's
this together amongst our friend
probably
group without having to actually see the original. I bet Pablo knows it.
oh yeah.
I
We'll
bet he still
see.
remembers it.
I don't know. Dude,
He's got the brain for it.
here's the thing is that we graduated high school now
I
what
know it
four
was
eight
8 years
8 years ago?
ago. 4.
8 years ago. No, no, no. I was doing like 4 from like when we graduated college and then another 4 from then. So like I was just doing it in chunks of 4 in terms of like mathing. Um but we graduated high school 8 years ago. I'm pretty sure that if we pooled our friend group together, we still know most of the cheers from high school.
God, I bet I couldn't start any of them, but I bet there's some like muscle memory way in the back that I could
That
repeat the
just like
rest of it if somebody gave me like the first 2 words.
exactly. Like yeah. No, no, no. No, no. Again, I feel like if all 7 of us got together, we'd be able to piece some of like a fair few together.
We spent so much time just doing that
Yeah, we
for no
really
reason.
did. We had nothing better to do.
Now there's a training montage. It's the training montage. I don't want to bang on my desk because I think that'll make incredibly annoying noises into my microphone that would have to be edited out. And I kind of already did that. But just imagine my hand slamming down on my desk. But training montage. It's time. It's the thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not a song with words.
Yeah, so no bonus points even though you never claim bonus points. But anyway, so they at first
I did make another prediction though in the
Mhm.
middle of in like right at the beginning of this. One is obviously they got to fail first. Maybe there's an inspirational speech in the middle and then they succeed. But then I said bonus points if there's no speech and they just look at each other and nod,
fair. Very
which was,
fair.
I didn't get a nod. I did get a hand on the shoulder. I did get a like a hand
Mhm.
congratulatorily on the shoulder. I didn't get the nod and I am mad about that.
Oh, that's sad. So yeah, at first they're not getting it. Everyone's struggling with something else. And over time, they're able to bond together and succeed and be able to pass their lovely classes. And Sunburst has the evil
Wow.
look in her eyes. She is plotting something. And before we get to that something, we're going to take a quick intermission and we'll be back. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the intermission. I hope you're all enjoying this episode of Post Finale as we finish going through Barbie Magic of the Rainbow with Griffin Stouffer. Now, a couple of quick things. If you are enjoying the content and you want to gain access to bonus content, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/coopforge and signing up for any of the tiers. You get loads of different content, some extra videos, some more just audio clips of things that we have talked about, research that we have done, access to notes, all fun things like that live over on the Patreon. You also get access to a Discord server where you get access to all the different hosts for all the shows on Co-op Forge and our editors and a fun little community there that we are also trying to build. So you also get access to a Discord server and we can all chat about films, nerdy things, whatever we like. It's all there on patreon.com and it's a very fun time. So once again, the link is patreon.com/coopforge. Link can also be found in the description. And if you want to help out the show in a non-monetary way, that is fantastic as well. Just tell a friend about the show. It really does help. Maybe you have a friend who really, really likes films. Maybe you have a friend who, like me, hasn't watched a lot of films and needs an excuse to watch some more films. What a great way, other than to join me on this podcast journey as I learn more about films and just more about the film world in general. Be like, hey, there's this actor who hasn't seen them either. It's a fun time. It's a silly time. He jokes around a lot. It's a fun time. And it really does help the show a lot. So thank you to anyone who does this now. We'll do this in the future. It really, really does help. And thank you so much. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok on Instagram and Facebook at Post Finale Pod. On TikTok, it is at Co-op Forge, CO_OPFORGE. And it is also at Co-op Forge on Instagram and Facebook as well. So be sure, follow us on social media. Lots of fun little reels and stuff there. Some behind the scenes stuff will soon be posted as well. And different things like that. But other than that, thank you so much for listening to this episode. It really, really does mean a lot. And let's get back to this episode and figure out, how is Barbie going to take down Laverna? So, Sunburst is plotting. So, we're in the palace. And I will say, the palace looks pretty cool for the level of detail of the animation in this thing. Fairly well done palace. Just enjoyed the palace. It was a fun little shot.
I enjoyed the music, actually, of
So-
like the flyover.
I think the music is incredibly good, and we will get to that a bit later as well. But I'm not the only person who thinks that the music is incredibly good. So, the Enchantress explains that beyond the hall is the crystal courtyard, and this is where the first blush of spring happens. And she's like, do the job correctly, and the first blush will open. This is your moment. Fabian feels like it's too much pressure. Glimmer says that they wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for Illina, and Sunburst is like, don't worry, we'll do great. And they're all in position. They're all ready.
As a note, Laverna is such a fucking dweeb as Sunburst. I just have that written down. She's just such a dweeb. And that's the only way I could put that.
You know what?
But also it's like super unclear. So like they need all 7 fairy. It's unclear at the time of this scene that I have in my notes.
Mhm.
It's more better. Still doesn't make sense, but like it's okay. They all need to blast all 7 things of magic into the flower at the end to make it bloom or whatever. But at the beginning it was like unclear. So like, do they need all 7 fairies for all parts of this and it fails? Or like what happens if like, what if a guardian just got like sick? Like what if just one of the guardians was indisposed? Like, are they boned? Is this just like 10 years of winter because a guardian had a little head cold? Like,
Yes.
how exacting is this? Okay.
Yes.
Anyways, they're not even color coordinated.
No. So
Their outfits don't match the colors.
nothing matches. It's horrible. But they begin by separating the magic from the water. And then they fly up and they make like this magical like cone shape.
Yeah, it's a flower.
Right. So
It's the flower bud.
they make a magical flower, but dude, I am tired. I'm doing
know.
my best. Shapes are hard. Shapes are really not that hard. Words are hard, but shapes are pretty straightforward. They're I can draw shapes usually. Can't really draw much more than that, but I do like shapes. So
So Laverna's first mistake is going through with most of the ceremony up until the end.
yeah, she didn't need to.
She wanted to be really, really smug about it, but if she just like didn't and just killed the flower,
Problem solved.
would have been done.
Again, Laverna just wanted to milk it.
Yeah. And it isn't hubris everybody's greatest downfall.
Yeah.
Glad we could agree on that.
Cool. A riveting conversation
Anyways,
over here.
there's a
Post
lot
finale.
more water than they were using in practice.
Oh yeah, it's much more. But they create the magic cone flower bud shape, and then they start doing the dancing, and the first blush appears, and Sunburst is like, it's exciting. Illina says, yeah, I can't believe that we're here, but I think that we can do it. And Sunburst goes evil eyes and says, of course we can. Wouldn't let a limping toad get in the way.
And that's where I wrote down, wait, how did she know it limped? And then the words, no suspense.
Yeah. And Illina immediately just goes, how do you know that the toad limped? I never told anyone about it. And Illina then puts two and two together that Sunburst is Laverna, and Sunburst says, "Prove it," and then just flies away. And honestly, fair enough on Sunburst.
Yeah, power
Fair
move.
power move. Power move.
But then she also reveals herself to Lyndon by doing like a snarky little wave.
Yeah, which
And
is
it's
just
like,
weird.
would you just show yourself to anybody that Illina talks to? Because at that point, she doesn't need to prove much if you just admit it.
Right? So Lyndon asks where Illina is going, and she just goes, "Sunburst isn't Sunburst, but Laverna." Okay, that doesn't really answer where you're going. And then she continues saying, "Without the real Sunburst, the blush won't open." Um, Sunburst slash Laverna is just like, "That's right, Illina, run away," as she's going off to go try to find Sunburst. And Bibble and Dizzle follow Illina. I don't know why Dizzle's there. Bibble doesn't need the backup. He doesn't need someone holding him back. But you know what? I guess
I don't know.
Dizzle's there.
They're just in every scene together from the point they meet.
Yeah, I just want more solo Bibble.
Unfortunately, this is the last movie.
Oh, that makes me sad.
The last before the two spin-offs.
Which don't have Bibble?
I don't think so, because it's a different character.
I'm going to be so upset.
I know, we're going to riot. We're going to be so mad and being like, okay, Bibble could have solved this problem by existing.
Just by existing, that's it.
Just by existing.
So Illina says that she has to find the real Sunburst and that she could be anywhere. But in the one moment of intelligence that she has in this film, she sees her reflection and then remembers water and remembers that Sunburst is a sparkle fairy, so Laverna would have put her in water. And that's when I was like, oh, right, she's scared of the water. Because
yeah, they mentioned that in the first half, and I was honestly surprised it came up again.
Yeah, like I said, the one moment of Illina using her brain.
Should have known that would come up again, considering it was the one piece of like
plot
character factualization that we got. But you know what? I'll give it to him. I didn't guess that one.
I didn't guess that one. Very well done. So Illina heads out. Meanwhile, the other fairies are still doing the dance. And this is where I had the same question as you. How does it work without Illina there? Like, is she not needed for this anymore? Like, what?
It doesn't seem like they need all seven or even the real Sunburst to me until like the very, very end.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of it is kind of just bullshit ceremony, and they could have just blasted magic every year.
Yeah.
And they don't even have an audience watching aside from the Enchantress and the two puffballs. So
yeah, it's not even like they make it a spectacle.
And also, at this point, I asked myself, are we just going to cut between searching for Sunburst and dancing? And the answer was yes.
Yes.
Several times.
So, pretty much, here's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Illina is out looking for Sunburst. That's all you need to know in terms of what Illina's doing until we get to what Illina's up to. So, the bulb is starting to rise, and it's starting to get ready to finish the wonderful ceremony. And just as we start getting and the music starts building, Illina finds Sunburst, who's in a bubble under some roots of a tree in the river. So Illina works on pulling her out, but it's very difficult. But then she finally does manage to pull her out. And here's my question. Wouldn't the water have made Sunburst lose her powers?
That's what it sounded like in the scene where we discover that thing. So technically wasn't the goo sack protecting her? I mean, I guess technically in a later scene we learned that the goo sack is like the magic no magic powers bubble as well. But yes, she would then proceed to be wet and have lost her powers. They also, Illina didn't have the seaweed, so I don't know how she's lasting underwater that long.
I don't know.
But also, why did Laverna put her in a sack and not simply just kill her? She's fine with plunging the world into 10 years of winter, but killing a single fairy is beyond her?
Yeah. Look, she doesn't mind the death and the pain. She just doesn't need to get her hands physically dirty.
Also, this means that Sunburst hasn't been participating in practice and therefore wouldn't have had the success in practice that the rest had, so therefore she could still fuck it up.
Yep. There are a lot of things wrong about these plans, but here we are. So, Sunburst can barely breathe, and she tries to warn them about Laverna. Illina already knows. She's like, it's much worse than you think. And the blush is starting to open, and everyone is sending magic. It's just time for the luminescence. Everyone but Laverna sends the magic. Illina comes up and reveals the truth, and she outs Laverna for being Laverna. Laverna, after being outed, transforms into herself. Bibble is scared. Welcome back, our coward king. So, Laverna tells the enchantress that if she makes a move on her, she will destroy the flirst. I'm doing great. Words are very difficult tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The first blush of spring, and all of Fairytopia will be plunged into winter. Words,
Alright.
punged today, ladies and gentlemen. We
So
are being punged. At this
at this point
point,
in the movie, there's like 10 minutes left until the end. So they have that much time to defeat Laverna. It takes like 2.
yeah,
I went. This is the only time I went back in my notes to add an addendum to a note, and it was just to be like, okay, it took 2. It took 2 minutes. I counted.
took 2. Fair. Um, yeah. At this point in the movie, I was just like, what is happening? So the enchantress asks what she wants, and Laverna reveals to the enchantress that she wants the enchantress to get into the spell chamber, where all of her powers will be useless, and she wants to abdicate the throne of Fairytopia to her. All of the apprentices are like, no! And Griffin is like,
Again, why the spell chamber? Why does Laverna not simply kill? And second of all, abdicating the throne of Fairytopia is just giving her the crown. I hate monarchy. It's all bullshit. But also, why would she get in the chamber? Laverna is obviously lying.
yeah, yeah.
Simply punch her.
I mean,
Simply Power Rangers battle sequence. I want Laverna to blow up and then get really, really big, and then they're like, Megazords, go! And then all the fairies fuse together like Voltron and beat up Big Laverna.
cool.
This is my fan fiction.
Cool. I look
Find it
forward
on
to reading it.
AO3.
Okay. I look forward to reading it.
I'm not writing it.
So the enchantress says that she will do it, and she confirms. She's like, but if I do this, you will spare the first blush of spring. Laverna says, I will. Cross my heart. And immediately I was like, no, she's gonna destroy it. Enchantress, I gave you credit, you use your brain, you no longer have a brain. So Enchantress accepts this offer and transfers the crown and steps into the chamber. Laverna then laughs, turns the magical, colorful cone flower bud thingamabob into a very nice dark green that she likes a lot.
Ooh. Yeah, it's like it's her color scheme or something. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah. So she then laughs and asks if she really thought that, you know, if the enchantress thought that she was going to save her people. And she is just like, watch as I destroy the first blush of spring. And she launches some magic as the blush and it starts to die. But Illina needs to be the hero. So she
They
jumps in
always jump
front
into
of
the
it.
beam.
She jumps in front of the beam and starts taking the force of the magic. The others are shocked. Laverna says that she never disappoints. Did you ever think a little fairy like you could beat me? Illina then, grasping on to almost nothing, looks up at the other apprentices, reaches out her hand and says, I need you. What the
I don't know why you're surprised by that. I was surprised she wasn't just like, no, but all of us can. I don't
Dude,
know what you expected from this movie. Of course she's gonna jump into the beam. Of course
okay,
the heroes always do.
no. Here's the thing, right? I was fine with all of this. This entire sequence happening made complete sense to me. until the line, "I need you."
Well, obviously they're going to channel all of their magical powers into her, and that's where the magical girl transformation sequence happens, and then she gets her magic rainbow powers, and then can defeat Laverna with a similar magic beam. And the beams are going to collide into each other, and they're going to push against each other. Laverna's going to push back really hard, and then the magic rainbow beam is going to push back even harder, and then she's going to get vaporized again, just like in the first movie. I did not predict all of that at the time. I wish I had. I did predict that Laverna was going to vaporize into sparkles again, just like the first movie, though.
Fair. Okay. But "I need you" is just such a bad line.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Gay.
it is.
Incredibly gay.
You could have
Let's go, lesbians. Let's go. Yeah.
Look.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look. Here's what I'm saying, right? Like, I understand that this is a movie made for 5 and 6-year-olds. Like, fine, I get it. And I shouldn't be reading as much into this as I am. But here we are. We're already down this rabbit hole, so I may as well just judge it. Instead of saying "I need you," if you just said "help," and you let the idea of helping her, and what to do be theirs, not, her pretty much being like, "I need you, I'm gonna die without you." Like, if she just said "help," it would have been more powerful of all of them coming together. And oh my god, it's just such a bad line. Like, it was so bad that I heard that line, paused, literally laughed out loud for like 2 minutes, and then went back to watching the movie.
I think more stories need polyamory in them. You're right. I don't know what you're talking about. I was not hung up on this line at all. I was hung up on the "this was she" line. But this one didn't even strike me as odd.
It was just so weird.
I don't know. It seemed on par with the rest of the movie.
Fine. So Laverna says that they can't help. She'll pick them off one by one. And Sunburst says, "But we're not. One at a time." And they all start using their magic and sending it to Illina to give her strength, just like we were saying.
Wow.
Illina, now with the power of friendship, has all the magic and is all powerful. She rises, glowing, and produces a rainbow magic stream, and it starts to fight against Laverna. They work together. They're finally able to overpower Laverna. They encapsulate her in a rainbow cylinder. Laverna says she hates rainbows, and then Laverna goes poof.
I swear, she gets easier to defeat in every movie.
Yeah, here's the thing. She is the easiest to defeat in this movie out of all of them. And did they just murder Laverna for another time?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, they murder her in the first movie, but somehow she survives and is banished. But then in the second movie, they simply give Max a fake berry, and she turns into a frog. And then, in this movie, she once again gets poofed into magical sparkles.
Great.
By a rainbow.
By a rainbow.
Because it's always a rainbow.
This makes sense. So, Laverna's magic breaks away. Illina's wings are now colorful, like the rainbow. There we go. There's our pretty famous, fancy new girl transformation. Yeah. So,
there's the cover art.
There's the cover. But the clouds, they start to roll in, and it's starting to snow. So, Dizzle moves closer to Bibble for warmth. Cute. And the blush is starting to die. Fabian says it's hopeless. Illina says that there's life in the blush, but we must work together to save it. So they all hold hands. They start spinning in circles around the blush, and this somehow manages to make the blush better.
Yeah.
How?
Unclear.
Okay. So they finish the flight of spring, and it's a flight, and it makes sense now of why they call it the flight of spring, because when that blush opens up, a bunch of butterflies fly out of the blush, flying away. So flight of spring makes sense. It's the first time the butterflies go flap, flap, flap.
Didn't the butterflies just circle around and then go into the bottom of the flower? I could have sworn I saw that.
I think they circled around them.
My mind.
I think they circled around them.
The butterflies came out and then went like in up through the bottom of the flower.
I didn't think so, but maybe I just missed it.
Maybe I'm losing it.
Maybe.
Where's the tooth fairy? I have that in my notes. This was the part where I was like, "Where's the tooth fairy?"
Fair. We'll find out soon.
But also, seems kind of whack to have your weather cycles based on an arbitrary flower. Like, what do I know? I'm not a meteorologist.
Hey, the
I
U.S.
simply
looks
have a
at a
degree in law.
groundhog.
You know what? That is. I almost did research into different rites of spring, and then I realized one, that's a band with an album, and so incredibly hard to like search just the concept of. Two, probably not what those kinds of ceremonies are actually called. Three, I'm not. I don't like anthropology enough to continue down this rabbit hole.
That
And what else did I have written down? Google is bad. I'm mad, and I'm abandoning that bit.
okay. Fair
So I
enough.
don't have any information on other springtime ceremonies, but a flower seems whack.
Okay.
But Punxsutawney Phil, even more whack. A groundhog that is simply taken advantage of in order to enrich a single family that owns it. Also, try to spell Punxsutawney. You can't. There's an S in there, and it's not where you think.
Oh, yeah. So then the rainbow is shot out of the blush and it clears away the clouds. And Bibble and Dizzle are happy. And I was just like, wow, Dizzle loves Illina more than her own friend because she flies in and then hugs Illina but doesn't hug her friend and like her
Yeah.
companion.
The purple fairy. Glee.
Yeah,
Was that
sure.
her
I
name?
think that's her name.
I totally forgot about her after the first half. She was
Literally,
only important in the first half and has like two lines in the second
that's
half.
it. So after the Guardians are better, the Enchantress is wishing all the fairies well, and they are all going home, but not as the fairies that they once were. Together they gain strength, and because of that, they will always be part of one another. She then presents them
That's the part
each.
where I have in my notes, "Oh yeah, be part of me, daddy." I forgot what that was in reference to, so I'm glad you covered that line
I
because
got you.
I couldn't remember. I was like, why did I write that?
You know what? Fair, fair. So she then presents them with a token each, or it's like a medallion or something, and they have all graduated. Bibble is thrilled. He still has his tooth in a bag, but then the tooth fairy sneaks in, grabs it, and switches it out. It's not under a pillow.
Not under a pillow. They weren't asleep. Also, just showed up in the middle of the day. Not even at nighttime. I'm
Yeah.
mad about. Also, they weren't medallion. They were given like necklaces, which I guess were medallions.
Okay.
And also, every single movie she gets a necklace.
Yeah.
At the end of the first and third ones, the second one is it's a pearl necklace technically in like the middle, and that's like a part of it. But there's always a necklace. We didn't get shown the necklace that I don't know if we ever see the necklace that she gets.
We
I just
don't see
because
the
I
necklace that she
yeah,
gets.
it's like hidden in her hand. I can only presume it's another butterfly because that's all they have.
Yeah, that sounds
It's
about
butterflies
right.
and rainbows all the way down.
Yeah. So as they're saying the goodbyes, Bibble reveals that his gift was a cupcake, and Bibble is just about to eat it when he realizes that Dizzle might want some. So he splits the cupcake in half, a absolutely perfect half. Just Bibble is a god, takes a cupcake, just rips it in half in a perfect half. Incredible. Incredible work, Bibble. You never cease to amaze. Dizzle is about to eat her half, and she realizes that she has a loose tooth, and Bibble and Dizzle are very happy about this. So Sunburst comes in and asks Selena how she knew that Laverna was not her during the flight, and Alina says, Laverna was nice to me, and in all caps I have BS you didn't notice until she practically told you.
Yeah, no, that was an absolute lie, 100% a lie. Also, final thought on the Tooth Fairy. I only have one more thing to say about the Tooth Fairy. All right, all right. I was kind of hoping it was going to be a Santa Claus starring Tim Allen kind of situation where Bibble kills the Tooth Fairy and puts on her coat and then becomes the Tooth Fairy.
Fair.
I think that could be a good spin-off series.
There we go. There we go.
Mattel, get back to me on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
John Mattel, owner of Mattel.
Look,
That's who I assume
technology's
it is.
improved. They might actually be able to make a good Bibble toy nowadays.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't. You both know that's not gonna happen.
They could, but they won't.
They won't.
So, they hug, they say goodbye. Sunburst does at least. Illina never says goodbye. What an ass. And Lyndon says that meeting Illina was the best part. He will really miss her. She will really miss him. Bibble is sad to leave, but comes back to give Dizzle the Tooth Fairy bag as a token of remembrance. Dizzle kisses him on the cheek, and Bibble is a puddle and is ecstatic and heads out. And Illina and Bibble go off together. Nobody else seems to be going anywhere.
Nobody seems to be going anywhere. Also, mad about the weird, like, romantic interest thing with Lyndon. Fuck that guy. Go back to Sunburst. I'm a big fan of the enemies to lovers trope.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no. They start leaving. Everybody else is just staying there, but everybody gets, like, something to say. They all have, like, little lines, except for, like, the random bonus extra guardians off in the back.
Fabian definitely has the best line where he goes, "Bye, Illina. I know you look forward to seeing me again."
Fantastic line.
Never change. Never change. And Illina and Bibble head home as we see 7 different rainbows. And that's the end of the film.
There was no... In this one, there was no going back to the Magic Meadow and talking to Dandelions.
No, Dandelion don't get to know what's going on.
Dandelion was like in... Was Dandelion even in this movie?
Yeah, at the very beginning,
yeah,
very
she
briefly.
was, like, at the very, very beginning, briefly, yeah. God, they really do my girl Dandelion dirty.
Yeah. So, I have some statistics, as always.
Oh, I have the end... Do we want the end quote from after the credits first?
Yeah. What's the end quote?
Because, of course, I have that down. It's, "Together we're strong. Barbie."
We're all in this together.
Nope, not that at all. Not completely unrelated. "Together we're strong." Totally
Together
different
we're
sentence
strong.
structure. Yep.
Together
that is a line that was
strong.
said. I think you had that written down somewhere.
Yeah, I think the Enchantress says it.
Yeah, something like that.
So that sounds right.
Anyways, give us some statistics.
So, it had an IMDb rating of 6.2 out of 10. Not bad. Not bad. Rotten Tomatoes, it had an audience score of 65%. It had a critic score of not available. It wasn't a popular enough or I guess a good enough movie to where the critics felt like they needed to spend the time to give it a rating.
That's, yeah. That, you know what, that doesn't surprise me. It did not release in theaters. That was straight to DVD, maybe on like Nickelodeon.
So, in terms of money, all we were able to find was estimated DVD sales. So, an estimated DVD sales, it would have made about 15,220 or 15,225,000 US dollars in DVD sales. So
I mean, I take that amount of money.
That sounds like it did well money-wise.
I have no idea.
Now, I don't know what the budget was. I mean, it could be very good. It could be very bad. It depends on what the budget was. I'm not able to find the budget for this film. Now, we were talking about the music being really good throughout this film. So, there were 2 wins and 3 nominations for this film.
Really?
The most impressive of any of the nominations.
I'm legitimately surprised.
For the music. The music got nominated for a Daytime Emmy.
That's a lot more than I actually expected. All of my expertise stops and ends with the first movie, so this is news to me.
Yeah, shout out to Eric Colvin, who was the composer, and he got a nomination in the 2008. He was the nominee for Outstanding Achievement in Music Direction and Composition for the Daytime Emmy Awards. So shout out to Eric Colvin.
Impressive.
But yeah, that is Barbie.
I the word counts.
Completely forgot the name of this film.
Thoughts? Magic of the Rainbow.
There we go. That was Barbie Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow. Before final thoughts and our ratings. What?
Technically, it's just Barbie Magic of the Rainbow.
Well,
Fairytopia is not in the title.
on IMDb it says Barbie Fairytopia Magic of the Rainbow.
Oh my god. Am I wrong? No, I'm just gonna refuse to acknowledge that.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyways,
Word
so
counts.
let's go back over the word counts of the previous two movies because I have those down.
Sure.
So Fairytopia. Do I have to? I'm going to assume I put that in the correct order and stuff. So Fairytopia was 4,435 words. My Google Doc ended up being 24,330 characters or 20,320 without spaces included. For Mermaidia, I have 6,721 words, 35,730 characters or 30,097 without spaces or excluding spaces. Do you want to guess, based on those two numbers, the word count of Magic of the Rainbow?
So I'm working in the realm between like 4.5 to 6.5. I'd say that Magic of the Rainbow probably has like 5.5 to 6,000 because I feel like there are a few more montagey scenes in this one.
Your logic is solid, but your conclusion is incorrect because it is actually 4,119 words.
It has the least?
It has the least 21,992 characters or 18,628 characters excluding spaces.
But it's also the longest one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that fun?
Fun. All
Final
right.
thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, final thoughts and something that we are going to start doing on movies. It's something that I am doing over on Flip the Scripts, which is a different podcast that I also host. So shameless plug, ladies and gentlemen. But you should go listen to that one.
Plugging in front of me.
Oh no, it's almost like this is my show. But that one is
Just
with
one
of the previous guests, Stephen Nyman. We co-host that show, and we're looking at adaptations, so books to movies. Depending on when this comes out, we are either currently talking about the Hunger Games movies or Catching Fire. Depending on when this episode is releasing, one of those is coming out. I just don't remember off the top of my head which it'll be. But anyway, what we are doing is we rate the film at the end of it. So, and the book and then how it goes as an adaptation. But what we'll do on this show is we'll just rate the film. So what would you rate a film out of 10? So same scale as IMDb, what would you rate the film and final thoughts?
I want to rate all three movies because
we can rate all three.
It would warrant having all three rated just for posterity's sake if we're going to do this for at the very least the following movies as well. So I'm going to say for Fairytopia, the first one, I'm going to say 5 out of 10. It is completely neutral.
Okay.
It is. I'm just going to give that a completely neutral score. Mermaidia, 7 out of 10.
Sure.
Also, these scores are lessened because these are movies for babies. There's a 10 out of 10 baby movie out there, I'm sure. I don't know what it is. If I had to rate these against like real movies, this would be very, very different.
But
for what it is, Mermaidia, 7 out of 10. Magic of the Rainbow, I'm not gonna give it worse than Fairytopia. I'm gonna say 5 out of 10 again.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna say I'm fairly neutral on it because I like some of the beginning and the second half does lose me a little bit.
Sure.
Now it's a weird way to watch it because we split it up. But I'm just gonna say the first and third 5 out of 10. Mermaidia 7 out of 10.
Sounds good.
Solidly enjoyable movie. The other two, I don't know. I watched the first one because it's part of my childhood. I would not watch this third one again.
That's fair. So the first one I'd probably rate, again, a 5 out of 10. It exists. It's a film. Cool. Second one, Mermaidia, I'd probably rate 6.5, 7. just like you. Again, I think that's the best out of the bunch. It's the strongest story-wise and has a good amount of character development and has fun with our favorite characters as well. And then this one, I would probably give a 6, probably like a 6,
Okay.
because I found it more enjoyable than Fairytopia in terms of like certain aspects of it. I feel like, you know, the montage, the music, I think elevated this one quite a bit, honestly.
Hmm.
Like the music just made it a lot more enjoyable. I wasn't like,
That's fair.
you know, hating myself when I was just watching these montage scenes. I was just like, ah, at least there's peaceful music or like good music and stuff like that. So I'd bump it up to a 6, but like you said, it loses me in the second half of the film. Like the first half, I'm still engaged and focused and like, all right, what's going on? But that second half, I was just like, I just want to get through this. I don't even want to watch this anymore because like I had just lost interest. Like everything was just happening so quickly that nothing had time to pan out at all. But yeah,
Yeah, there
oh,
was as always no suspense.
nah, but a very solid film. If you have 4 to 6 year olds, possibly a good film that I would recommend to 4 to 6 year olds.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Literally babies. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So wonderful. Well, as always, Griffin, thank you so much for joining. If people want to find you doing things, I know you're not really on social media. Do you have anything to plug or anything you want to say to the people?
Yes. So, like I said in the last episode, and I think we will have at least one episode out by the time this one airs, because these are going up in like February, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I listened to their After Truman show, so so at least by the time this one airs, hopefully, assuming nothing goes horribly wrong, me and my friend should have an episode of a podcast up called "To Be Titled Later" because we
Wonderful.
really couldn't decide on a name.
Wonderful. Well, if it is up, I will be sure to leave a link in the description for the listeners so that you can have easy access to listening to the show wherever you listen to the show. But I'll make sure and drop a link down below because I'm sure that I will have the link by the time this goes up. But Griffin, as always, thank you so much for joining. And listeners, thank you so much for listening. And until next week, when we are talking about Terminator, which is something that I've never seen before. I know Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it, and something about I'll be back. Um, this is what I can tell you. I think he's a killing machine. But until we talk about the Terminator next week, I'll catch y'all later.